$500, baby, and you can pick my teammate.
Give him the chump.
You mean play basketball?
Yo, what up, Elo? What's up, baby? Just kicking this in 92 for the basketball. Check it out. Swing.
How's everyone doing tonight? This is episode 14 of the Cream Team Podcast. Tonight we're going to introduce a new series that Hunter and I thought would be something fun to do this summer. It's going to be ranking the top 10 players at each position all time in the NBA. So for these ones, we'll just be doing, like I said, all time. This will be all inclusive. Both active and retired players will be included in this. And then right before the season begins, we'll probably do a similar thing, but with top 10 current players. That being said, Hunter, my man, who do you have as your number 10 point guard of all time?
Hey, guys. Hope y'all are doing fantastic. And let's start this off by
Hey.
just saying.
Yeah,
I feel like
Fat
I was about to say I feel like Fat Albert saying that, but you know,
you
guys,
look like him too.
This is, except I'm not brown. I'm not extremely large.
Wow.
Hey guys, no. This is just honestly because y'all know how it is. There's a lot of times where there's not a lot of talking points in sports in the offseason. And that's NBA, that's NFL, that's anything. There's not always some talking points. But we're gonna make some talking points. So with all that being said, I'm gonna answer your question. And you know, I might ruffle a few feathers here, but because we said that we're going to keep Pistol Pete out of it, I can't remember who the other, Jerry West, because they played predominantly at the 2. My number 10, and it was close, but my number 10 is going to be Kevin Johnson.
Kevin Johnson?
Kevin Johnson.
Wow. All right. Well,
he
back it up.
When he was. When he
I'm going to pull up his stats right now.
When he was at the top of his game, there was nobody stopping him. He's one of those guys that, I also forgot about this. I don't know how, but he's also the mayor of Sacramento now. That's about the only.
And he's a terrible mayor. He's extremely corrupt. Yeah, I'll send you an article about him. It's bad.
I don't think there's any mayors that or any politicians. Man, I'm having a hard time talking right now, but any politicians that aren't corrupt. But hey, this isn't talking about, I'm not Fox News, I'm not MSNBC, so I don't know. But in his prime, This guy was playing, I'm looking right now, 39 minutes a game, 37, 36, 37. The guy was playing a lot. And he was 20 and 10, 20 and 10, 20 every night. When he didn't have 20 and 10, you were shocked. So I'm looking right now when he's averaging 18 points a game, 3 rebounds, 9 assists, 1.5 steals. The guy was good, and you really forget about it. And I kind of loyalty's big, and I'm not going to say that that's the reason that he's in the top 10 or anything, but loyalty's big. And do I think that he's a top 10 point guard of all time in this topic because we kept Pistol Pete out of it? Yes. If Pistol Pete's
and Jerry,
if Pistol Pete's in it, Kevin Johnson's not in this conversation. But because he's not, I'm going to have to say he is.
No way.
Trying to find some advanced stats. My internet's running really slow. But
what are you looking for?
I'm trying to find his win shares. This is really bad.
For his career, he's 90. I just saw it and then I went away from it. Sorry, guys. 92.8 win shares.
Okay, and that from a point guard, that's pretty good.
It's pretty good. That's pretty good. Well, go ahead.
No, I was going to say that's pretty good. So he is definitely up there. Who you got?
I went with Walt Frazier, and now I'm trying to compare Walt and Kevin because obviously, as we've discussed before, championships aren't everything, but they're pretty darn close to it. Frazier got one. Johnson does not.
Yep.
Frazier, if you guys have never seen any old Walt Frazier footage, you got to look it up. The guy was unbelievable. And could you Hunter, can you remind me why his career was cut so short? He only played 12 years in the league, and I assume it was by injuries because I'm looking at these last couple of years.
If I'm remembering right, I think it was injuries, and he was kind of Barry Sanders before Barry Sanders in the fact that he was just kind of tired of the game. He was tired of the grind. He was tired of just the flashiness. And also, if I'm remembering right, Phil Jackson was on those Knicks teams, and they clashed big time. And it became, I can't remember who it was that kind of usurped him as like the guy in New York, but somebody usurped him.
Willis Reed was big time, and then
that's who
and
it
then
was.
Frazier came in after Reed.
Oh, was it? I can't remember who it was, but somebody came in and kind of.
Wait, Jerry Lucas. I'm trying to think of the good guys from that team. It was Reed, Frazier, Lucas,
if y'all
Dave
watch,
DeBusschere,
what
Bill
I'm gonna
Bradley.
Say, Bill Bradley, I think that is who it was. Bill Bradley. And they just clashed big time because, and I hate to bring this into it, but race was a huge deal. And I didn't know a lot about that until ESPN did a 30 for 30 on the Knicks, probably on that time.
What is that one called? I haven't seen it.
I can't remember. It was pretty recent, but it really opens your eyes up. And, to answer your question, I can't remember the exact reason, but I definitely don't disagree with that Walt Frazier because that dude was good. End of discussion. He was good.
Do you have Johnson? Absolutely. Do you have Kevin Johnson's like best years pulled up just so we can kind of compare the two? First, let me find Walt's win shares while you do that.
Yeah.
So Walt had 113 win shares, so pretty. Accounts for pretty more than 20 more wins than Johnson.
I'm looking. So you look at Kevin Johnson from 88 to 89, 20 and 12. 89 to 90, 23 and 11. There was a span where he was a 2010 player, and then he just, injuries. Yep. What do you know? What were you gonna say?
Walt. Let's see. Oh, that just disappeared. Man, this site, I love Basketball Reference. It's awesome, but I don't know. I have trouble with it right now.
I saw it.
I turn the ringer on. So let's see. 71-72. That was the year in which they won the championship. He put up 23 points a game, 6.7 total rebounds, and 6 assists. So Walt was a big guy. He was 6'4", 200 pounds. Yep. Did Johnson do any rebounding, or was he not a great?
His best rebounding.
He was little.
Was 3.6. Yeah, he was extremely little. Oh, 4.2. I lied. 4.2. And if I'm remembering right, refresh my memory. Who was on those teams?
Who was what?
Who was on those Suns teams? Because he was drafted by the Cavs, but he's a Sun.
Marley, Tom Chambers, Charles Barkley. Those teams were
Charles Barkley. Duh.
Right, the best guy on those teams.
So could I see somebody saying Kevin Johnson's not top 10? Absolutely. And would I necessarily argue with you and say you're wrong? No, I don't see that happening.
And then look at the. I don't think Johnson's on caliber with Walt, just because, like I said, Walt accounts for 20 more wins, and he did it all. Johnson's numbers were great, and he was certainly very skilled offensively. But look at this stat line from Frazier in 74-75: 22 points a game, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, 2.5 steals, and he shot nearly 50% from the field. It's 83% from the line, and obviously this is before the 3-point line was instituted. But that's just unbelievable. A guy puts up those numbers now, and it's just crazy.
I think, and we'll move on to 9 here in just a second. And it's funny because 9 is Walt Frazier for me. But the thing is you forget how good he was. In the same vein, you forget how good Bob Cousy was. You forget how good Pistol Pete was. You forget because the game was so different back then, and people nowadays are just Absolutely. Like, oh no, we don't care about them. When you really look at just how amazing these players were, you realize they were great, and we forget about them so much. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. What's it? Oh, well, before we move on to number 9, this is kind of guerrilla podcasting here, but guys, we're gonna right now we're Skyping to record this, but the connection is kind of giving out, so we're gonna switch it around in the middle of the episode. I know it's not conventional. But we're gonna FaceTime really quickly, so you're gonna be able to hear that. Actually, hold on. Will this work? Actually, now that I think about it, because then we'll hear. Let's just keep trying with the Skype, and if it ends up it continues to be bad, we'll just have to redo this thing.
Oh man, these guys are like, wow, these guys are definitely
Completely
amateurs.
Absolutely,
but hey,
we never claimed to be anything else.
Who do you got number 9?
9, I went with one of my all-time favorites, and that is Gary Payton, the glove. That guy was awesome. I grew up watching Hardwood Classics clips of Payton and Stockton, and those were two of the guys that really stood out to me. That when I was growing up, I'm about 6'3" now, but when I was up until I was a freshman in high school, I was like one of the shortest kids in my grade. I think when I was a freshman, I was 5'1", so I grew like 15 inches in high school and up until now. So I was really little. So I always kind of, idolized point guards, and Payton and Stockton. I remember watching clips of these guys and just being in awe. And they were really guys that did it on both sides of the court. They both played very, very differently. It's funny that those two guys are such polar opposites, in that Payton was so passionate and such a legendary trash talker. Stockton was obviously tight-lipped and he could put it, very stoic guy.
Not Stockton, Payton. He could back it up. I think that's the worst thing, when you have somebody who talks smack when they can back it up. And
yeah, absolutely.
And I'm gonna. You can still keep touching on it because you're kind of just hammering home my point. I promise this is the last time I'm doing it because we're a little bit, let's say, off in terms of our rankings because I have Payton 8. That's the last time I'm doing it though. In terms of just.
Okay, so you just threw you threw Johnson in there. Let me. I wonder if you're spoiling everything, dude.
No, because you forget. People forget how good Gary Payton was. They forget that the guy per game averaged 16, 7, okay, not the sexiest thing. 4, okay, not the sexiest thing. 2 steals, okay.
His defense, he's one of 2 guards, him and Jordan, to ever win Defensive Player of the Year. And he's the only point guard to ever win it.
Defensive win shares, and this is how Pro Basketball Reference defines it: an estimate of the number of wins contributed by a player due to his defense. Take a guess what Gary Payton is.
I would say like 50, maybe. I don't know.
49.
Wow.
The guy.
Wow.
Was insane.
That's crazy. You know what? Let's take a look at Kawhi's defensive win shares just to put that in perspective and see. Because obviously, as we all know, or actually, let me rephrase that. Some of us may not know that listening that Kawhi, a.k.a. the Claw, very similar name to the Glove, is the 2-time reigning Defensive Player of the Year, and could possibly go down, him and Pippen, as 2 of the greatest wing defenders of all time. Let's see his defensive win shares. So at this point, obviously Kawhi's only played 5 years, but he has 20.
If you were to
Payton played.
Okay,
comparable.
Payton played 16 years, so multiply that by 360. Kawhi's actually better.
And keep right, but keep in mind that he's playing for the Spurs. So
exactly.
And over these past few years, they've been not only one of the best defensive teams, but one of the best teams all around ever. So last year, they were, I think, either the first or second. Yeah, the first or second best defensive team of all time. So you have to keep that
they were the all-time best.
Payton. Right. If I'm remembering correctly, he played on a team with Detlef Schrempf, who was a good, pretty versatile defender. Sean Kemp, who only played defense when he wanted to.
A.K.A. when he wanted to get some nasty dunks.
Oh my gosh, the Rain Man was awesome. That's again one of my favorite teams just from watching all those clips when I was younger. Irvin Johnson was a good interior defender. Outside of that, they didn't really have a lot. Hershey Hawkins was okay. But, other than that, they didn't really have a lot of guys that they didn't have another lockdown guy like Danny Green. They didn't have another all-time great defender like Tim Duncan. Obviously, last year Duncan fell off, but a couple years before that, he was still extremely, extremely productive and capable on the defensive end. So you have to take stuff like that into account. 50 defensive win shares for a point guard is absurd. And you see actually that Frazier's at 45 as well. And Frazier only played 12 years. So again, that's why I have Frazier, in my top 10. Go ahead.
I think a lot of it is also Gary Payton. I've never been one to be a huge fan of him simply because he chased rings in LA, and he chased rings in Miami. He chased the ring in Boston. People forget about that, and so you look up, and that's 4 years right there that his stats were hampered.
Yeah.
Sure. Don't get me wrong. Like he was still a good player. I'm looking right now, and in those last 4 years, the dude still had 4, 6. He still has 8 defensive win shares to his name, but his stats were a bit skewed because of those last 4 years where he was nothing more.
Right. He was even better. If you discount those 4 years.
Exactly.
And I think that raises kind of an interesting philosophical point when it comes to basketball. And obviously, you fault guys for chasing rings, but I on the other hand, don't. If you're able to do what Peyton did and transition into, and Vince Carter as well, obviously it hasn't worked out for Vince Carter, but if you're able to do what Peyton did and transition into a capable role player, and it's almost kind of surprising because Peyton was such a demonstrative player, yet and he was a star, a bona fide star, so you wouldn't think he would be able to transition into a role player so seamlessly, but he was able to, and obviously he got a championship in 2006 with the Miami Heat. So I respect guys for doing that. Like I said before, guys, the point of the game is to win. It's not a rec league. The point of the game is not to have fun and learn. It's to win. So if you're able to do what's right for a particular team and yourself in order to win a championship, I will never fault a guy like that. It's different if you go and try to take over a team and mess things up. But
no,
I don't know. That's just me.
I do agree with you. You can't fault guys for doing that. I will only necessarily I could argue fault when you're. And I'm not saying that I have a problem with him doing it because I don't. But when you are Kevin Durant in the prime of your career and you leave for a team that just beat you, I'm not saying I have a problem with Durant doing that because I don't. But that's the only time when I can possibly begin to fault you is when you are still a star and you aren't in your twilight years. Peyton, he was in his twilight years. He was nothing more than, granted, in LA that last year, if I remember right, he had like 15 points a game that he was averaging, so he wasn't a bad player by any stretch. But when you're in the twilight years of your career and you're going to be a 9th, 10th man off the bench simply off name value alone, I don't fault you for doing that. I'm going to say one more thing about Peyton, and then you can tell me who your 8 is. A lot of people, some people forget, I don't know how, but some people forget when he went up against Michael Jordan in '96 and just, I don't want to say shut him down because Michael still had 20 plus all 3 games, or in the final 3 games,
he was great.
But Peyton was on him like glue.
Absolutely.
So just remember those things when you're thinking of Gary Payton. And once again, a lot of people forget about him, and I don't know how. Probably because he was a defensive maestro instead of a offensive savant. But
and so many guys from that era are forgotten because of Jordan and just those Chicago teams' sheer dominance. The Bulls' sheer dominance during that era, and it sucks because there were so many unbelievable players that not only didn't get rings but are, like you said, forgotten in casual basketball fans nowadays. It's kind of a shame. But you said you had Peyton at 8, correct?
Yep.
And we've already touched on him. Okay, so I had CP3, Chris Paul. What do you think about that?
The wins are not everything. I'm the first to admit that I hate when people say LeBron is not as good as Jordan simply because of rings. Rings are not everything. Okay. But you are not a top 10 point guard of all time. Number 8 on skill, I believe he is. I really do. Chris Paul is. Don't get me wrong, people talk about him a lot, but in terms of just historical greats, he's underrated. He is definitely a top 15 point guard of all time, but when you can't even lead a team... he has never led a team out of the first round. And I'm not saying he had good teams in New Orleans, because he had terrible teams in New Orleans. But
no, they made it out of the first round in 2015,
was it?
and then they lost to They
I'm
lost
talking
the
about the
second round
Clippers.
to the Rockets.
I'm now talking about the Hornets. When he was with the Hornets.
Well, those teams were those teams were awful. Their only other good player was David West.
They had Peja that one year, but yeah, I know what you mean.
But that was when Peja was past his prime.
They had Emeka Okafor. Come on, dude. You're like,
sorry. David Wesley. Yeah. Okay, well let's look at his numbers. For his career, he averages 19 points a game, 10 assists, and 2.3 steals. 86% from the line, an effective field goal percentage of 51.3, and shoots 37% from three. I mean, statistically, I get exactly what you're saying, and I've said time and time again on this show that I value winning above all else. But the statistics for CP3 are just so compelling and so much better than so many of these guys that I can't not include him. And he's also just and we could make an entire show about me arguing as to why those teams haven't been able to progress as far as they would have liked in the playoffs, and some of that is certainly on him. I'm not exempting him from blame, especially in 2015 when they blew that 3-1 lead on the Rockets. But he is a floor general, and although he seems like he's kind of a pain in the ass to play with, frankly, the guy is simply unbelievable.
I don't think he is like that because
just listen to this. The guy has 144 win shares, and he's only been in the league for 10 years. That's absurd. He has 144.
I'm gonna shut up now. Wow.
Yeah, so you talk about winning 104. That's way more than Peyton, who played 16 years. That's way more than Frazier, who played 12. I mean, far more than Johnson, who also played 16, if I remember correctly.
44 wins.
Yes, 40 defensive win shares. It's crazy. His value over replacement player is 66.4. It's absurd. Also, we didn't mention with Peyton. Peyton's is also absurd 63 VORP. So I mean,
God.
And a 7.5 BPM. It's crazy. 24 usage rate. I mean, exactly like I said, the statistics are so compelling, and now I even have win share statistics to back my argument up. But you tell me, because I don't want this thing to run too long. You tell me who you have at number 7, my friend.
And that's it. I've been going kind of back and forth on this. And I'm looking at his stats, and that this is the only reason that I'm having trouble with this, but I'm going to stick with it, and I'm going to say Bob Cousy.
I think that's fair.
I have to get a little bit of a homer pick into it, but it's not even that.
No, that's not a homer pick at all.
The guy, I'm not even going to take when he played for the Cincinnati. I think there was the Cincinnati
Royals.
Okay, yeah. In his last year where he played 7 games, so it kind of skewed his stats. But when you look at his career with Boston, granted the dude won 11 championships or something just ungodly like that, 8 or 9 or something. Granted, it was 99.9% of the reason was Bill Russell, and the fact that he was 8 foot tall against 5 foot tall players, of course, is going to tell him an 8.
Yeah.
But I'm looking right now. The guy, 18.5, 7.6, and 5.2 rebounds a game. The guy was very good. You go look at his advanced stats; they aren't the best. They don't really help him. I mean, win shares are only 91, so you have. I'm ranking him ahead of somebody who he has 50 win shares less than, and Chris Paul. But the game, and I will always say this with older players, the game was so different. There wasn't a 3-point line. It was just a lot different. So I'm going to rank him that high, and I really don't even know necessarily why. And I know that's really bad.
Well, here's what I have to say about that, and maybe it's just slipping your mind, and maybe this will remind you of this fact. First of all, I have Cousy seventh as well, so great minds think alike. Okay. And I have him because, like you said, tons of championships, a great leader along with Bill Russell, his statistics aren't going to be as great as these guys because, as you said before, the game was so different and guys were just not nearly as good back then. Were athletically skilled, but I've watched a ton of old game film. I am a historian in my major in school, but I'm also an NBA historian. And Kuzi, along with Pistol Pete, and Frazier for that matter, were three guys that were doing stuff unlike anything that any other player was doing in the league. And I'm talking about threading the needle to guys that you couldn't even see on the screen, like just unbelievable passing intuition, passing vision. They were doing trick stuff that guys don't do now in the league, and they were doing it extremely well, like efficiently. It wasn't
60 years
flashy.
ago.
Yeah, exactly. 60 years ago, like shortly after the inception of the game, they were defending very well, despite the fact that they maybe taking Frazier out of that argument, but despite the fact that they were behind the eight ball a little bit athletically. I mean,
you go look at his. I mean, shooting wise, this is what critics are going to say.
Shooting splits, Kuzi and Russell were really bad, if I remember correctly.
37.5% from the field.
Exactly, but if you look at the league average, I bet you it was probably even less because guys couldn't shoot the ball back then. But like I said, being a pioneer of the game and doing stuff that other guys were not capable of doing back then, I think is something that catapults him into this top 10 discussion. And the guy's nickname was the Harlem Houdini for a reason. Go and watch some of his clips. He was doing unbelievable, like Rondo-esque stuff on the basketball court 60 years ago, and he was doing it extremely competently. So that's why we both have him at 7. Number 6, I had Steve Nashty. Who'd you have?
Hey, great minds think alike.
Absolutely.
Steve Nash. He is one of those guys. People think, and I think like younger generations are gonna remember him for the Lakers for whatever reason. The 1 year that he was there, really, it's the truth. But 2 years he was there. My bad. I forgot about that last year where he jacked up his back. But when you go look at this guy in Dallas, him, Dirk, and Michael Finley were amazing. And then you go look at him with D'Antoni. Granted, his stats are going to be a little skewed because I remember reading it, and it was a long time ago back in that D'Antoni just run. We're going to try to outscore you. We don't care if you score 150. We're going to score 151.
7 seconds or less, which is the philosophy that D'Antoni implemented. He's
still going to implement it.
The book is written by I forget who it was written by, but 7 seconds or less is one of the best basketball books I've ever read. You guys should absolutely check it out if you're a basketball fan. Absolutely.
And I could be a couple numbers off, but if I'm remembering right,
let's look his stuff up.
The NBA average in terms of how many miles they ran a game was something like I think it was like 7. That was the average. When him, Stoudemire, who else was on that team? Him, Stoudemire,
Grant Hill,
Barbosa, I think Barbosa,
Boris Diaw, Joe Johnson, Sean Marion.
Who was the guy? Rajah Bell, I think, was on that team. No, he was
Rajah Bell.
What was he? Okay.
He was.
I think they were running like 17 miles a game or something. So his stats are going to be a little bit skewed. But when you look at 14
but here's what I have to.
Here's
what I have to say to that is people always, when you bring up Nash and you bring up that style of offense, people always say that his numbers were inflated. But the thing is, D'Antoni knew that style of play was fitting to him. So like can you fault a coach and can you fault a player for playing the way that they should play? I don't think so. I don't think that makes their stats inflated. I just think it makes the team smart and that they did the right thing. Like if your guys, I'll draw an example for Derrick Rose. Like Derrick Rose should not be in the triangle, but yet he is. You do the right
if he has thing for. He's not running the triangle. Yeah, Jeff. Come on, everybody knows you're lying. But continue. I'll let you continue. My bad for interrupting you.
No. Not your fault. I was done actually. I was just saying that what you should do is you should not try to force a play style on a player. You should adapt your style of play and your offensive and defensive strategies to fit the style of your players, and that's exactly what D'Antoni did, and his players thrived. So I don't think the stats are inflated. I think it was just a smart move.
Usage percentage is defined as an estimate of the percentage of team plays used by a player while he was on the floor. Let's just say there was 150 possessions a game for the Suns. There's definitely more than that. Let's just say 150. He was used in 30 of them. He, for his career, turned the ball over. I just saw that number. It was 2.9. So he turned the ball over 3 times a game being used that much. That goes to show his passing ability. That goes to show his decision making. That goes to show just his basketball IQ, just how smart of a player and how good of a player he was. We all know he's one of the greatest free throw shooters of all time. We all know he was a great 3-point shooter at 43%. We all know he would dish the ball to whoever, wherever, whenever. Not the best on the defensive side of the ball, but I don't think anybody was on those teams.
Well, you know what? Well, again, read the book, people, please. If you're an NBA fan, I'm going to bring it to you in a couple weeks when I come to see you.
Do it.
But the issue with Nash was athletically, he was a great athlete, but he wasn't. He was kind of similar to Rubio in that he wasn't strong or explosive vertically. So I say he's a great athlete in that he could put. Like, he's a great baseball player and soccer player as well, so he can do a lot of things athletically, but they're not necessarily suited for defending large point guards. So he struggled with defending super strong big point guards, and he also would overhelp a lot, which is something that would really hurt them on the defensive end. So he was not exactly what you said, not an excellent defender, but I just don't want people to think it was because he was, prototypical slow white guy or something like that. You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. He's no Jose Calderon or like Marcelo Huerta, something like that.
But so what was that, number 6?
Yes.
Okay. So that
you go ahead. Who's your number 5?
And this it was honestly awesome. You put my hand or you put their names in a bag and I pick it out. That's kind of how I went about 6 and 5.
Yeah.
Number 5 was Jason Kidd.
There you go. Again, we're right there.
So I'm looking at their comparisons. They are besides shooting percentage, because Jason Kidd was known as
Nash and Kidd are
Ace and Kidd because he had no. Yeah, they're very similar.
He had no
players.
J.
I understand. He had no J, so he's Ace and Kidd. But I'm looking right now. So 12.6 points a game for J Kidd compared to 14.3. Assist 8.7 to 8.5. Kidd had 2 steals a game compared to 0.7. Turnovers the exact same amount. Personal fouls the exact same amount. So they're very smart players. And then you go look at.
Hold on 1 sec. I think I lost you. All right.
Rebounds. That is. I think that might be the only reason why I put J Kidd above Steve Nash, because he literally doubled his rebounds in terms of averaging 5 a game instead of 2.5.
Yeah.
Once again, I think people. I'm going to say 2011, when the Mavericks won the finals. Shout out Ian Smith, because I know you're probably smiling right now as you're listening to this. But in 2000,
he's so nostalgic.
In 2011, when the Mavericks won the finals, true basketball fans, people who know the game, they realized that, of course, Dirk was the number one reason they won, of course. But,
absolutely.
But people forget just how huge Jason Kidd was in the playoffs. I'm trying to get to his playoff stats so I can see that year. But that dude.
People forget how good Jason Kidd was.
Period.
A lot of these guys, people just forget. Like I remember growing up when he brought it. Correct me if I'm wrong. He brought those Nets teams, which were not that good, to back-to-back finals, and they both lost. Richard Jefferson and Vince Carter were on those teams, but and I think they also had Kenyon Martin, who Keith Van Horn.
I forgot about those. Keith Van Horn. No, I'm mixing him and Nick Van Exel, but I do think Keith Van Horn killed somebody.
Keith Van Horn was a 6'10" white guy, and Nick Van Exel was like a 6'1".
No, I think Keith Van Horn killed somebody, if I'm remembering right.
No way.
If I'm remembering right, Keith Van Horn is in prison right now.
He's from Utah, dude. Oh my gosh, we're gonna have to look that up.
I'm looking.
Crazy.
I think he's in prison right now, if I remember right.
What?
I think here it is right here. Oh no, that's continue. I'll let you continue.
You're thinking of that other dude. You're thinking of the other dude from those Nets teams. Jaron. What was that dude's name? I remember he killed someone with a shotgun. He killed like his chauffeur or something with a shotgun. It was accidental. It may have not even been a shotgun. He killed him at a dinner.
How do you?
The gun. He was like showing his dinner guest his gun, and then the gun went off. Real freaking genius.
Practical Burris-esque, but enough of that.
Yeah.
People really forget how good Jason Kidd was. He didn't have a jumper, and had he had a jumper, we'd be talking about him as honestly top
greatest point guard of all time.
Yeah.
Honestly, one of them. Wait, can you compare Kidd's and Nash's win shares really quickly?
I just had them up. I was looking them up. Give me just a second, and I'll get right back to it.
Yeah, sorry. Both our internets are acting up tonight, guys.
It's really bad. Yeah, pretty much the exact same. Steve Nash 130, Jason Kidd 139.
Yeah.
The only reason that Jason Kidd hasn't beat his defensive win shares, he has 75. Steve Nash has 16.
Right. So wow. So Kidd had so many more offensive, and Kidd had so many more defensive. Yeah. They're two very, very different players, guys. Both of them fantastic playmakers. But what Kidd had going for him was his incredible defense and rebounding, and what Nash had going for him was his super, super effective shooting and scoring. So
this means nothing. But Jason Kidd played 18 years. Steve Nash played 17. Listen to this. Jason Kidd played over 12,000 minutes more in 18 in one extra year.
Workhorse.
That has no value as to why he's up there, but he is definitely what number was that? 5? He is definitely my number 5, and with very good reason.
Absolutely. So number 4, getting close to the end. I have a feeling we'll probably agree on this one as well. I'm going to go with Isaiah Thomas, Zeke.
You are right.
As they like to call him.
You are right.
Yep. Once you get into these last few guys, it's kind of not set in stone, but it's tough to kind of debate. Like, we know who's going to be up there, you know?
Yeah, you know it's going to be Zeke. You know it's going to be Stockton. You know it's going to be the Big O. You know it's going to be Magic Johnson. Just in what order? You know Magic Johnson's going to be number 1.
Yeah, it's that is set in stone.
Spoiler alert, guys. But I'm looking right now, and I actually have Stockton and Thomas pulled up and compare, because I love this. You can do this with Pro Basketball Reference. But I'm looking at
that's probably the best feature of the site.
I'm looking at Isaiah Thomas right now, and he only played 12 years. 12 years, and we're talking about this
another guy injuries. Same with Oscar Robertson, actually. Although I think he played. Yeah, he played 13. But go ahead.
So Isaiah Thomas, I'll run his stats down real quick. 19 points a game, 9 assists a game, 2 steals a game, 3 rebounds a game. So in that, they each turn the ball over pretty much the exact same. And I'm going to compare them because Stockton's my number 3. But they were. Isaiah Thomas was. I'm going to get on the soapbox a little bit here. It's a complete travesty. He wasn't on the dream team. Complete travesty.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Him and Jordan suck it up and just go play a game for your country. It's not about yourself. Go play a game for your country.
For sure. For sure.
You want to put Christian Laettner instead of Isaiah Thomas? Please, for the love of God. You're laughing. It's the truth. That is who replaced Isaiah Thomas. Give me a break. But Isaiah Thomas was besides Lambeer, and you could even argue that Thomas was more of a pest and a guy who's going to piss you off more than Lambeer was.
Because he did it with a smile on his face the whole time.
That's the worst part. But Isaiah Thomas was just good, passing the ball, shooting the ball. 45% 45% field goal percentage for his career. It's not terrible at all. He was good at it. His thing was he knew what he was good at, and he just hammered in what he was good at. If that makes sense.
Absolutely. I'm right there in agreement with you on Zeke. So I mean, there's nothing else really to say. The guy won 2 championships, and the year before that, when they didn't win, when they lost to the Lakers,
that was when they were called the Showtime Lakers.
Yep, and on a call that is disputed as one of the worst calls of all time. I don't know if you've seen Bad Boys, right? The documentary, that call on Lambeer, that was. It seemed like it was a pretty horrible call, and so those guys could have three-peated. And if you think about that, that's just crazy. Obviously, only 3 teams have done it. The Bulls did it twice, and the Lakers did it once. And the Celtics. I just don't even count the Celtics because they won like 9 out of 10. But
was it the Celtics or the Bill Russells?
Right? Yeah, you're right. The Bill Russells. Exactly. So, I mean, it's really impressive stuff. The guy was truly unbelievable for when he was healthy, and even when he wasn't healthy. I remember in that playoff stretch when they lost to the Lakers. I think it was actually in the finals. He got hurt. I think he like damn near broke his ankle. It was a really bad ankle sprain.
It was a ankle sprain that was classified. Every doctor said you would rather have a clean break of the ankle every time over how bad that ankle sprain was. Exactly, and like, he played through it, and I think he put up like 30-something points in that game. It was just say what you will about his front office abilities or lack thereof, but the guy was an absolutely unbelievable player, and I'm glad that he is in our top 5. That being said, let's move on to number 3, because guess what, guys? We disagree on number 3. So who do you have, Hunter? You have Stockton, correct? I have Stockton. And once again,
this is going to be the big debate of the show.
I'm gonna pull this up. I want you to tell me, who do you have number 3? Do you have the Big O?
Yes.
Okay. Tell me why you have the Big O, and then I'm gonna pull up some players and we're gonna talk about it.
I have the Big O, and to preface this, which I often do, I discuss my feelings about players because I have very strong opinions.
People are probably rolling their eyes. They're like, "Oh, Griffin's about to get a hard on."
Go on a rant.
John Stockton.
But actually, I'm a little bit. I'm not gonna lie to you. No, but both these guys, Oscar Robertson and John Stockton, are 2 of probably my 5 favorite players of all time. I love both these guys so much, and it's really tough. It was really tough picking between 3 and 2. And I will tell you why I did it. First, I need to pull up.
I'm going to tell you this right here. So I'm looking at the comparison.
Okay.
People.
Well. First of all, let me say, the statistics alone, some of them at least, are going to make it seem like it's not even close.
There is no some of it. These statistics, and I'm not saying this is the reason why I'm doing it, because John Stockton was part of the greatest teams to never win a championship, but also he was part of the greatest pick and roll tandem of all time, bar none, hands down. Go to bed, never wake up and think about it again.
And the greatest culmination of players internationally in the Dream Team.
Bar none. But
right,
you look at these stats, and you're exactly right. I mean, if somebody had no idea who these players were, not a clue who these players were, you would look and you would say, "Oh, wow." Oscar literally doubled him in points. He's only had an assist behind. He over tripled him in rebounds.
But Oscar played 42 minutes a game. Yep. Okay, so here's the crux of my argument. Oscar, in those 3 or 4 years where he was putting up just like astronomical video game numbers, including the season in which he averaged a triple-double, those 3 to 4 years, if I remember correctly, were the highest pace seasons that the league has ever seen. So people think the league is fast now. Those 3 seasons, highest pace ever. There was no defense being played, including Oscar, who people may think he was a great defender. He wasn't. He was not a great defender. He was certainly capable of it, but we can look up his defensive stats.
37.2.
37 compared to Stockton's 64. Stockton, by the way, has more win shares, about 20 more win shares than Oscar. Okay, so Oscar played 42 minutes, so he played almost the entire game, which is absurd.
I don't know
Back
how he
then,
did that.
He's a freak. Don't get me wrong. Oscar Robertson is absolutely unbelievable. He's an incredible athlete. But he played 42 minutes a game. Stockton only played 31. So let's look. I think looking at the 30 per 36 minute stats is going to make more sense when we're comparing these two guys. So if we look at that, Oscar averaged 22. Stockton averaged 15 points. Stockton doubled him in steals, 2.5 to 1. Stockton had 4 more assists than him, and Oscar had 3 more rebounds than him. Stockton also, his effective field goal percentage is 54.6%, which is ridiculous. It's really, really good compared to Oscar's, which is a 48.5. Stockton shot 38% from 3. They both were great free throw shooters. And another point I wanted to...
He was a good shooter, especially when people would go under on those pick and rolls. Step back, pop, easy work. But continue, sorry for interrupting you.
No, it's okay. No. I'm glad you made that point. That's absolutely correct. And I'm sure we'll eventually do an episode dedicated to just the Stockton and Malone pick and roll, and that'll be another one of my favorites. But I wanted to say about those seasons in which Robertson was putting up astronomical numbers, combined with the fact that pace was so high. Also, field goal percentage for the league as a whole was record lows. So guys were missing almost every shot, which gave those teams, that the tandem of Robertson and Abdul-Jabbar to put up huge rebounding numbers and to get out and run. So these things just need to be taken into account, and I'm not discrediting Robertson's greatness at all because he is one of the best to ever do it. But all the things I just said, coupled with the fact that Stockton is one of the probably least, prototypical athletes to ever succeed to such an extent in the NBA. The guy was 6'1" and 190, I think, whereas Robertson was like... Whereas Robertson was like 6'4", 215 or something like that.
He's a big guy.
Right. So I mean, Stockton's already behind the 8 ball athletically to a great extent. Yet he was still able to do so many unbelievable things, and he was a workhorse, comparable to what we said with Kidd and Nash. Stockton was far more of an Iron Man than Robertson was. You see, Stockton played in 1,500 games versus Robertson's 1,000, and Stockton started in 1,300 of those games. I mean, those things, and coupled with the fact that, keep in mind, Robertson only won a championship when he had Kareem on the team. And let's look at one more thing.
Who, by the way, and we're going to get into it probably in 4 episodes when we talk about centers, and I'll explain why later when we get into that episode. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, in my opinion, is the most overrated player of all time.
Wow, okay.
The most overrated player of all time.
Okay, I'm very much looking forward to that. This is the last thing I'm going to leave you with. And I think what we've just discovered is that Stockton, despite the sexy stats, truly is better than Oscar Robertson when you look at advanced metrics. And this is the stat that I think is going to put the nail in the coffin for that argument. If you had to guess, Hunter, what would Oscar Robertson's VORP be and what would John Stockton's VORP be? Oscar Robertson, what would his VORP be? Go.
So, guys, I'm going to tell y'all real quick, VORP, just in case you don't know, that's just value over replacement
I should
player.
Explain it.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Pro Basketball Reference defines it as, if I'm remembering right, it's that a replacement player is -2, I think, is what it is. Or I'll read you Pro Basketball. It says a box score estimate of the points per 100 team possessions that a player contributed above a replacement player, which is -2, translated to an average team and prorated to an 82-game season. So all that means is just a normal average guy who's going to make them lose 2 games. How much more does this person have? I'm going to say probably just over a career.
That was a great explanation, by the way. That was great.
I mean, over a career, we're probably looking at Robertson probably 55, Stockton probably 50.
Good guesses. Robertson is a 1.3, and Stockton is a 65.9. Do I need to say anything else?
So according to that,
I'm not kidding you. Look it up. Open your eyes, sheeple. Figure it out. By the way, Robertson was 6'5", 205. So the guy's a freak. 1.3 to 65.9. That 65.9, by the way, is higher than any point guard we've looked at thus far. We'll see I'm very interested to compare Stockton and Johnson. So, like I said, final statistics.
I'm looking at it right now.
Unbelievable. Oh, hold on. So, this is the last thing that I'm going to say. I know, it's crazy. So, Robertson, you look at those stats that he doubled Stockton in career points per game. So, you think he's going to be a much better offensive player. Nope. Robertson had 152 offensive win shares. Stockton had 143, so only 9 behind. And then Stockton had 28 more defensive win shares than Robertson, combined with the fact that he has 65 VORP points more than Oscar Robertson. There's nothing else I have to say. The guy's the best pure point guard of all time. He did it with no athleticism. Let's move on to number 1. Magic, Irvin freaking Magic Johnson.
I suck. Wow. I
But okay, can I hear you say it? Can I hear you say John Stockton is better than Oscar Robertson? Can I hear you say it?
John Stockton is better than Oscar Robertson.
I'm levitating right now, guys. You can see on Skype when I'm slowly floating.
Wow. Okay. So with all that being said,
is that not unbelievable though? I mean,
a full-on hard-on. He's gonna go to sleep happy as all get out. We're gonna move on to Urban Magic Johnson. And
let's do it. Oh, let me just last thing. I'm so sorry, but John Stockton's middle name is Houston, so that's kind of
okay. He's
about kind of rubs me the wrong way, right?
Okay,
John Houston Stockton. So, it either makes him the best or the worst. I'm not sure.
So I'm looking right now at Urban Magic Johnson. The guy played from until he was 20 to 31. I'm not even going to throw in that last season where he came back simply so
sad.
I'm going to say like it was a good feel-good story. So he played from when he was 20.
Well, can we give some background? I'm sure most people know, but just for someone that may be unaware of why he played for so short of a time and why he
slept with way too many girls and contracted HIV. He says
how
that.
You do it.
He said that. He said he lost count in the thousands of players he slept, or thousands of females he slept with. And
who is he, Wilt?
When you, there's no need to go with that, but when you do that, you are just begging for that. But with all that being said, this guy averaged 20 points a game, 11 rebounds a game, 7.2 rebounds, or 11 assists a game, 7.2 rebounds a game. This guy, and y'all know my infatuation, my love, my obsession with LeBron. This guy was LeBron before LeBron.
Yep.
You will always hear people say, "Oh yeah, LeBron's this generation's Magic," and though they have,
and they both couldn't shoot.
Be quiet. You say that 52% field goal percentage. Granted, he couldn't shoot the 3 to save his life, 30%. But the guy was great. He was great.
He was unbelievable. There's not even he's the number 1 point guard of all time, and it's not even debatable. It really isn't. It's not even debatable. He had how many championships on it? Was it 5?
5.
Yeah, and his career was obviously cut tragically short, and it really is a shame. But as we will continue to say, the guy was just simply unreal, and I think that's a good way to wrap it up. It's just a consensus agreement on the fact that this guy was the best point guard of all time.
Best point guard of all time, guys. There is no there's no questioning it. There's no arguing about it. There's no talking about it. He is the bar. But y'all,
This one went way longer than expected, but it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, y'all. We're now at 52 minutes and 33 seconds, but I hope that y'all enjoyed that. Our next 4 podcasts will be shooting guards, 3s, 4s, and 5s. Expect some arguments.
Unless something big happens, around the league.
Yeah, which by the way, players or sources are saying, and I've seen this on Zach Loby's tweeted this, David Aldridge tweeted this, Mark Stein's tweeted this, that sources within the league are saying that there's going to be some major trades happening, so hopefully we can have that. And we'll just go from there. But guys, I hope y'all enjoyed this. Y'all be good, be blessed, be safe, and adios, y'all.
Thank you guys so much for listening. Please let us know what you think of this series that we're doing, and if you guys would be so inclined, please leave us a rating on iTunes. It really helps us out. You guys have a great day. Thank you so much for listening once again. Take care.